TSA just threw away 4 tons worth of someone's insulin because of a rule that doesn't actually exist. And right now, you might be leaving behind medical supplies you're legally allowed to bring, for free, in unlimited quantities. In the next few minutes, you're about to discover the hidden TSA exemptions that airlines don't advertise. We're talking prescription medications, medical devices, even items that seem impossible to bring through security. And when you see what happened to a diabetic passenger who knew these rules versus one who didn't, you'll understand why this information is literally life-changing. Stay till the end, because the final exemption involves something so unexpected, even seasoned flight attendants don't know about it. Exemption number 7. The mobility device secret. Let's start with number 7, and this is where most people lose thousands of dollars. Wheelchairs, canes, walkers, and crutches don't count as carry-on items. But here's what airlines actively hide from you. Neither do their batteries. A powered wheelchair can have lithium batteries exceeding the normal 100 watt-hour limit. The FAA allows up to 300 watt-hours for mobility devices. That's triple the laptop battery limit. The conflict? Airlines treat mobility devices like inconveniences. They make you fill out forms. They ask invasive questions. They act like they're doing you a favor. But here's the legal truth. The Air Carrier Access Act mandates that airlines accommodate mobility devices, not as a courtesy, as a federal requirement. You cannot be charged for a wheelchair. You cannot be forced to check a medically necessary cane. You cannot be denied boarding because of a mobility device. What no one expected was how far this extends. Seat cushions for medical conditions don't count as carry-on. Portable oxygen concentrators don't count as carry-on. Prosthetic limbs don't count as carry-on. One amputee travels with 3 prosthetic legs, different ones for different activities at the destination. TSA has never counted them toward baggage limits. But here's the twist that changes everything. You can gate check mobility devices for free, even on basic economy tickets. Those ultra-budget airlines that charge for everything. They cannot charge for wheelchairs or walkers. It's federal law. A traveler with muscular dystrophy flies on Spirit Airlines monthly, brings a $4,000 powered wheelchair, gate checks it for free every single time. Spirit's baggage fees, $35 for a regular carry-on. Wheelchair, $0. And the most shocking part? Damage liability. If an airline damages your wheelchair, they're liable for the full replacement cost. Not depreciated value. Full replacement. A passenger's custom wheelchair was destroyed by United Airlines. The chair cost $28,000. United tried to offer $3,500. The passenger knew the law, threatened to file with the Department of Transportation. United paid the full $28,000 within 2 weeks. What they don't tell you is that you should always photograph your mobility device before flying, document any existing damage, timestamp the photos, because airlines will claim pre-existing damage every single time. Exemption number 6, the CPAP machine advantage. Number 6, changes sleep apnea travel forever. CPAP machines, BiPAP machines, and portable ventilators don't count toward carry-on limits. But here's where it gets powerful. Neither does the bag you carry them in. TSA and airlines classify these as assistive devices. Same category as wheelchairs. Same exemptions. The conflict? Gate agents don't always know this rule. A sleep apnea patient boards with a backpack, a roller bag, and a CPAP carrying case. Gate agent stops them. Says they can only have 2 items. The passenger pulls up the TSA website on their phone, shows the agent the exact regulation. Gate agent calls a supervisor. Supervisor confirms. Passenger boards with all 3 items. Completely legal. But here's the twist no one talks about. The distilled water for your CPAP is also exempt from liquid rules. You can bring a full gallon of distilled water through security if it's for a medical device. One frequent traveler brings 2 liters on every international flight, refills the CPAP reservoir for the entire trip without relying on hotel water. What no one expected was the power outlet priority. On planes with limited outlets, passengers with medical devices get first priority. Flight attendants are trained to accommodate CPAP users, insulin pump chargers, and other medical electronics. A long-haul passenger needed to charge their portable oxygen concentrator mid-flight. All outlets were taken by laptop users. Flight attendant asked a passenger to unplug. Medical device took priority. It's not published, it's not advertised, but it's airline policy across major carriers. And this changes everything for travelers with sleep disorders. The most shocking part: hotel accommodations. If you're stuck overnight due to delays or cancellations, airlines must provide distilled water for your CPAP at the hotel. It's considered a medical necessity. One passenger was stranded in Denver, asked the airline rep for distilled water. They delivered 4 bottles to the hotel room, free of charge. Exemption number 5. The diabetic traveler's goldmine. Number 5 is sweet and absolutely critical. Diabetic supplies are completely exempt from every single carry-on restriction. Insulin, test strips, lancets, glucose tablets, continuous glucose monitors, insulin pumps. All of it. Unlimited quantities. No liquid restrictions. No device limitations. But here's the conflict that puts lives at risk. Most diabetic travelers don't bring enough supplies because they think TSA will stop them. So they pack conservatively, bring just enough for the trip. And when delays happen, they run out. A diabetic passenger was stranded for 36 hours during winter storms. Only packed 3 days of insulin for a 2-day trip. Ran out completely. Had to find an emergency room in an unfamiliar city. All because they didn't know they could bring 2 weeks of backup supplies. Here's what actually happened behind the scenes. TSA updated diabetic supply guidelines in 2018. They specifically state unlimited amounts of medication in pill or solid form. Translation: you can bring 90 days of glucose tablets if you want. What no one expected was the cooler exemption. Diabetic travelers can bring small insulated bags or coolers as a medical item. Doesn't count toward carry-on limits. The requirement? It must contain diabetic supplies. One traveler brings a soft-sided cooler with insulin, ice packs, and backup supplies, plus a backpack, plus a roller bag. 3 items total, all allowed. But here's the twist that changes everything. Juice boxes and candy bars for low blood sugar episodes are classified as medically necessary. A mother traveling with a type 1 diabetic child brings 20 juice boxes. TSA waves them through without question every time. The juice boxes exceed the liquid limit. They're not in original packaging. Doesn't matter. Medical necessity overrides everything. And the most shocking part? In-flight priority. Flight attendants are required to provide diabetic passengers with juice or regular soda immediately if blood sugar drops. No waiting for beverage service. It's a medical emergency protocol. A passenger's blood sugar crashed during ascent. Hit the call button. Flight attendant brought orange juice within 30 seconds. Asked 0 questions. Just acted. What they don't advertise is that you can pre-request specific snacks when you book. Airlines will stock extra glucose-friendly options if you notify them 48 hours in advance. One frequent flyer pre-orders crackers, peanut butter, and apple juice on every flight. It's waiting at their seat before takeoff. Completely free service that most diabetics never use. Exemption number 4. The prescription pill. Reality. Now we hit number 4. And this is where confusion costs people hundreds of dollars. Prescription pills don't need to be in original bottles. Let that sink in. Every traveler thinks they need pharmacy bottles with labels, so they bring bulky containers, or they pay pharmacies to create travel bottles. Completely unnecessary. But here's the tension. TSA recommends original containers. Customs officials prefer them, so everyone assumes they're required. They're not. The actual TSA regulation says medications should be in original containers, not must. Should. That's a recommendation, not a requirement. The conflict? International customs is different. Some countries absolutely require original packaging. Canada usually doesn't care. Mexico wants prescriptions. The EU has varying rules by country. But for domestic US flights, you can use pill organizers. Here's what really happened behind the scenes. A traveler with 14 daily medications bought a weekly pill organizer. Pre-sorted everything. Flew 50+ times over 2 years. Never once. Was questioned by TSA. What no one expected was the quantity allowance. You can bring a 90-day supply of prescription medications in carry-on. That's the official TSA and FDA guidance. But here's the twist. There's no actual enforcement mechanism. One traveler brings 6 months of a rare medication because it's hard to get refills while traveling internationally. TSA has never counted pills. The most shocking part? Over-the-counter medications have the same exemptions. You can bring 500 Tylenol tablets if you want, a full Costco-sized bottle of ibuprofen, industrial quantities of allergy medication, all completely legal. A chronic pain patient brings 200 Advil on every trip, uses about 20 per week for arthritis, brings backup in case of delays. TSA doesn't even look twice. But here's what changes the game. Controlled substances have different rules. Opioids, benzodiazepines, ADHD medications, they need documentation. Not for TSA. For law enforcement. If you're carrying 90 days of Adderall or oxycodone, bring the prescription paperwork. TSA might not ask, but if they call law enforcement to verify, you'll need proof. One traveler was detained for 45 minutes because they had morphine pills without documentation. Eventually released, but they missed their flight. Another traveler had the same medication with a printed prescription from their doctor, cleared security in 5 minutes. The difference? A single piece of paper. Exemption number 3. The needle truth. They never announce. Number 3 is sharp and controversial. Syringes and needles are allowed in carry-on luggage. No limits. No quantity restrictions. But here's the tension that makes this complicated. TSA allows them. But individual TSA agents sometimes don't know the rules. A diabetic traveler was stopped at LAX. Agent insisted needles weren't allowed. Confiscated 30 days' worth of insulin syringes. The traveler missed their flight arguing. The twist? TSA's own website explicitly allows unused syringes when accompanied by injectable medication. The conflict is enforcement inconsistency. Here's what actually happened behind the scenes. TSA updated their training in 2021 after multiple complaints. Agents are now supposed to recognize medical sharps as exempt items. But some airports didn't get the memo. The solution? Print the TSA medical exemption page. Carry it in your medical supply bag. When an agent questions your syringes, politely show them their own rules. Most will verify on their tablet and wave you through. What no one talks about is the disposal problem. You can bring syringes on the plane, but you need a sharps container for used needles. TSA allows small sharps containers in carry-on. The requirement? It must be made of hard plastic and properly sealed. One frequent flyer with rheumatoid arthritis brings a small FDA-approved sharps container on every flight. Uses it for the entire trip. Disposes of it at the destination. Completely legal. Completely safe. But here's what really changes the game. Epinephrine auto-injectors, EpiPens, OVQ, any brand. You can bring as many as you need. TSA doesn't count them toward your liquid allowance, even though they contain liquid medication. A parent traveling with a severely allergic child brings 6 EpiPens, 2 for the child, 4 backups in case of multi-stage reactions. Every TSA agent has approved them without question. And the most shocking part? You don't need them in original packaging if they're clearly labeled. What no one expected was the temperature control allowance. EpiPens must stay between 68 to 70 degrees. Airlines know this. If you inform the flight attendant, they'll store your EpiPens in the temperature-controlled cabin area, not the overhead bin where temperatures fluctuate, not under the seat, in the galley, where it stays room temperature. One allergic traveler nearly had their EpiPen rendered useless because overhead bins dropped to 45 degrees on a winter flight. Now they tell the flight attendant, every time, EpiPen stays effective, the difference between a working medication and a medical emergency. Exemption number 2, the ice pack loophole. Airlines hide. Number 2, gets cold. Literally. Gel ice packs and frozen items for medical purposes are exempt from all liquid rules. But here's where it gets interesting. The ice pack doesn't have to be frozen to qualify. It just has to be for medical use. Let me explain why this matters. Medications like insulin, biologics, certain antibiotics need to stay cool. Airlines know this. TSA knows this. But nobody tells you that you can bring an entire cooler through security. The conflict? The cooler itself counts as your carry-on. But the ice packs inside? Unlimited. A rheumatoid arthritis patient brings 12 gel ice packs on every flight, rotates them to keep biologics at the right temperature for 14-hour international journeys, completely legal. But here's the twist no one sees coming. The ice packs must be frozen solid or completely liquid at screening. The in-between slushy state triggers additional screening. TSA's exact words. Frozen gel packs are treated the same as other frozen items. Translation? Freeze them solid the night before. By the time you reach your destination, they'll be perfectly slushy for keeping medications cool. What no one expected was the dry ice allowance. You can bring up to 5.5 pounds of dry ice in carry-on luggage for medical purposes. That's enough to keep medications frozen for 24+ hours. The requirement? The package must be vented, and you must inform the airline at check-in. One cancer patient transports chemotherapy medications cross-country using this method. The medications cost $18,000 per dose. Too expensive to risk in checked luggage. Dry ice in carry-on solves everything. And the most shocking part? Airlines must allow it. It's in FAA regulations. They cannot refuse medically necessary dry ice. But here's what really happened behind the scenes. A biologic medication user was denied dry ice by a Delta gate agent. Agent said it wasn't allowed. The passenger showed them FAA Regulation 49 CFR 175.10, the specific exemption for medical dry ice. Delta supervisor overrode the gate agent. Passenger boarded with dry ice. The knowledge literally saved $18,000 worth of medication. What they don't tell you is the labeling requirement. The package must be marked dry ice and show the weight. Use a permanent marker. Write it clearly. One traveler's dry ice package wasn't labeled. TSA confiscated it. $4,000 of medication ruined. Another traveler labeled it properly. Same medication. Same airline. 0 issues. The difference? 3 words written in Sharpie. But the final exemption on this list changes everything. Because number 1 isn't just about convenience or saving money. It's about a loophole so powerful that pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know it exists. And when you hear what happened to a passenger who used this rule to transport a $47,000 medication, you'll understand why this is the most important exemption on this entire list. Exemption number 1. The liquid rule that never applied to you. Let's start with the biggest lie in air travel. The 3.4-ounce liquid rule. You've seen it 1,000 times. Tiny bottles, quart-sized bags. TSA agents measuring your shampoo like it's liquid gold. But here's what they don't announce over the intercom. Medical liquids are completely exempt. Not limited. Not restricted. Completely exempt. You can bring a full liter of liquid medication through security. No questions asked. No special approval needed. The conflict? Most passengers don't know this, so they dump their expensive prescriptions in the trash, or they ship them ahead, or they ration medications during travel, all completely unnecessary. But here's the twist that changes everything. TSA defines medically necessary liquids incredibly broadly. Prescription cough syrup? Exempt. Liquid vitamins prescribed by your doctor? Exempt. Contact lens. Solution if you're wearing contacts? Exempt. Even breast milk. Whether you're traveling with an infant or not, a woman pumping for a baby at home can bring unlimited breast milk on a flight. TSA confirmed this in writing after a 2019 incident went viral. What no one expected was how to actually do this correctly. Here's the secret. You must declare it at the checkpoint. Don't hide it in your bag. Don't try to sneak it through. Place it in a separate bin. Tell the TSA agent, I have medically necessary liquids. Those 4 words activate the exemption. The agent may test it. They might swab the container. They could ask you to open it, but they cannot limit the quantity. And this changes everything for chronic illness travelers. One diabetic traveler brought 3 liters of emergency glucose solution on a cross-country flight. Completely legal, completely allowed. The most shocking part, you don't need a doctor's note for most items. TSA recommends you bring one. But their own rules don't require it for clearly labeled prescription medications. 7 exemptions. 7 ways to travel safer, smarter, and without losing expensive medical supplies. From mobility devices to unlimited liquid medications. But here's what connects them all. Knowledge is the difference between smooth travel and disaster. These aren't secret rules. They're published TSA and FAA regulations. They're just not advertised. Because when you don't know your rights, you don't use them. And that makes travel easier for airlines, faster for TSA, more profitable for everyone except you. If this information just saved you hundreds of dollars or prevented a medical emergency, hit that like button. Subscribe for more travel exemptions, loopholes, and strategies that actually work. And drop a comment. Which exemption surprised you the most? Because the next video might cover the international medical travel rules that customs agents really don't want you to know.